What's going on, everybody? We are back. It is Here's the Thing. That is my homie Nick over there.
That's me right here.
This is my girl Nat.
It's the business doctor.
And it's your boy Rome. Back once again for episode 4 of Here's the Thing. We've had some great topics. Last show was kind of intense. Talked about the feminization of the black man. Thank you for all your comments and ideas and stuff. But we're gonna go on to something still a little intense, and we're probably gonna have some different views on it. But you know, that's the whole point of the show, right? That's what we keep saying. So we are gonna talk a little bit about politics, blacks in politics, and see kind of where the conversation goes. I got my views. Natalie has her views. I know Nick got his. So we're gonna start. So blacks in politics. So we have some really powerful figures. We've had Obama. We've had who's the one that just passed away? Elijah Cummings out of Baltimore. But one fact I want to tell you guys, and it's going to lead into something else, that we are very, very underrepresented in the government. Right? So, the Senate has 100 members, and right now there's 3 black senators. Underrepresentation. The House of Representatives has 435 members, and there's only 56 black representatives. Yeah, right? We are 42 million African Americans who identify as African American or black in the country, which represents roughly about 15% of the population. But we're only representing government about 2 to 5%. So that can cause, to me that causes some problems. That causes some underrepresentation. I mean, it could go through a lot of things. I've got some other points, but I want to know what you guys feel about that underrepresentation.
I definitely feel that it causes an imbalance. Not enough people in Senate to speak on behalf of the black community, which is the problem. I don't understand why though. Because we do have a lot of black, politics. We do have politicians that are black, but for some reason they're just not making the higher ranks. It's like, we have Obama as the president, okay. But that's about as far as it goes. Like, why are we not in there? Why are we not represented? Like, we stay like local and that's it. Like, why aren't we in there? So I don't understand that part. Like, why is it only 3 compared to all of those?
I mean, I have an opinion on that. I think I think a big part of it is that we're not engaged. And a big part of that is, systematically, that's my favorite word, we weren't allowed to be engaged. Right. So now we are in the process of playing catch up, 250 years of catch up, right? Because it wasn't until the 60s we were allowed to vote, right? So I think that's a big part of it, that there is, we're just playing catch up. And I think that kind of goes into the misrepresentation of the people in politics. But Nick, what do you think about that?
I think that it has a lot to do with the fact that we're not engaged. It has a lot to do with the fact that we're being locked up at an enormous rate, and then we can't vote. So that part. I think it also has a lot to do with the fact that some people feel like, what has the government done for me? So what's the point? Is it going to affect me? Am I going to see any changes? That's what a lot of Obama supporters feel, that, girl, we had a black president, and how much better are we doing? So that's the sentiment. Okay. Yeah. So it's there's a lot of reasons why I think that we don't see us reflected as much in government, especially the higher ranks.
I mean, to play on that too. I mean, in all honesty, if we were, had more in the Senate, would it really make a difference? Like, that's the big question. Like, but what we say really matter?
Yes.
You think they would really?
Absolutely. If we were better represented, we would just be that better represented. If we had more, the thing is, like you said, and you touched on a little bit, Nick, we are not engaged because we never talked to. And I know we're going to get into that Republican Democrat thing in a few minutes, but but we're not engaged, so and then we don't have any. Well, there's some, but we don't have like a strong immersion of black leadership either. So who do we vote for?
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's no one galvanizing the community in our best interest, so that we all can say, hey, these are the things that are important to the blacks that live in Atlanta. These are the things that are important to the blacks in California.
Yes. Right.
And we need someone to galvanize.
I mean, I think that's a big, but so to answer your question, if we have representation, yes, believe that the community will get better. I have another thought on that too, but I'm gonna let you finish.
So we had a black president, and again, like, a lot of people feel like nothing changed. I mean, granted, a few men were left, sent home from prison, but again, a few men. I don't really see like, having a black president, how that helped us as well. So maybe that also feel like we had a black president. What's the difference between having a black president and having more people in, the White House as well? Like, what is going to be the difference? So that's what I mean by like when things change, because nothing really changed with Obama. And I'm sorry, I'm glad we did have a black president. I'm not taking that away from the fact that, we were able to have a black man as president, but again, nothing really happened.
I think black people were naive to think that by having a black president, it was going to make all black things better. That's not a thing. Because we have to remember, too, in the highest office of the land, he's not just a black president. He's a president of everybody.
Right.
So we have to look at that as well. And I think that, I kind of knew when Obama was coming in, because I was just kind of getting into politics at that point. I'm like, he's not the black savior. But I think what it was the image of it.
Right.
That we were not able to.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, we can. That was like a Martin Luther type of flow
I think
there.
that's what it was. I think that was the benefit to black people. But I think overall in his policies, it wasn't much to do with black people. It wasn't much that really kind of pushed our plight or pushed our communities further. So I agree with you on that. But I think when you talk about the highest office of the land, then you start talking about representatives and senators. I think then you get a little bit more. I'm really, really strong on local politics. I think that if we want change in our local communities, we have to deal with our local representation.
Right. The councilmen.
So what I think a lot of us fail to remember is that most council meetings are open to the public. We need to go to these council meetings and talk and say, this is what the issue is in my community, Councilman blank, whoever it is, mine happens to be Cindy Bass, District 8, Philadelphia. But you have to go to these things, you have to say, hey, my roads are effed up. You know what I mean? Right. This block is hot. Let's get some police. Block is hot. But and also not even just to mention that, but the education. What's going on in this school right here? Why are we not going to the school board? Why are we not being relevant and prevalent in these situations?
And it really starts with just you. Yeah. People think that how do I get started? Just start it. Right. I think it was DeRay McKesson said, find somebody in your community that agrees with you and start pressing. And I was like, that part. Like just a couple, we don't like our school system, or we don't like the lunch at school, me and this parent and this parent. That's all it's gonna take. That's
all it's gonna take. And what happens is it's a trickle up effect, right?
Yes.
So me and you, we going in united, somebody in that audience like, you know what? They right. Now we got a whole band of people, and that's what evokes change, when people come together and make difference. So I'm huge on local, your city councilmen, your mayors, your district representation in the state, your state representation. It's got to be a trickle up effect. If we start here and build, it makes all the difference.
Absolutely. And to touch on the whole Obama thing, of course I voted for, but not of course. At the time, I'm going to be completely honest, it was definitely skin folk versus kin folk. I was looking at, he's black, and I'm voting for him just because he's black. That was it. He's black. But, what he represented, the symbolism of a black person becoming president, was so necessary for this generation of children to be like, yeah, the president's black. Like, there are people that grew up like, of course we had a black president. Like, they were 8. Right. When they were 1 at
my
the
daughter was
inauguration.
like 2 months.
That's what I'm saying. So all her life, she's like, yeah, most of my life, there's been a black president. So if I want to be that, I can aspire to be that. So I think that overall is what we got out of the presidency.
No, I agree with that 100%. That's about what we got out of that presidency.
And it was some fantastic parties.
There was some, and
was there.
And it was good too. Another thing too, that while we're still on Obama, that I really loved, and we talked about this in our last show, was that black family.
Yes.
It was it was. We got kids, not a scandal. You have a beautiful black woman who both of them were lawyers. One's the president, then both the kids are grown up. Oh my God, that to me that was also great symbolism as well. Not just a black president, but to have a black first family.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because again, we're missing a little bit of that. But so to see it was to me was priceless.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So I want to know, why does our community naturally believe that being black automatically makes you a Democrat?
Woo.
When a black person's Republican, they always look like an Uncle Tom, or like look down upon, like, oh, you're a Republican, like it's a bad thing. Like, where did this all come from? What do you guys think?
Well, keep hitting my mic. Well, I absolutely feel like it's generational. I feel like the black vote is probably the easiest to get in America because you have so many people that are like, well, my mom's a Democrat, so I'm a Democrat. I automatically was a Democrat because my parents were Democrats. And then it was almost this like unspoken thing that Democrats are for the people and Republicans are for wealthy people. And we know the distribution of wealth in America is very disproportionate for people of color. So in thinking that way, generationally, you're thinking, well, we're not doing as well as a community. We must vote this way because they're looking out for our best interests. That's just naturally what you're taught. Right. And it takes you to actually educate yourself for you to feel differently or think differently than your forefathers.
Well, allow me to offer you this. Well, let me ask you this to your point. You said that it was generational, but when did that start? Because our forefathers were Republicans. We're born.
First Republicans.
Yeah, we were first Republicans.
Right.
That's our forefathers were Republicans. Let me tell you, I have a note here. The core beliefs of the Republican Party, right? Less government, lower taxes, free market capitalism, gun rights, and pro-life. Those are like the core.
Pro-life is a huge issue. Huge issue. I mean, they are, but I mean, the black community, I feel like you're not going to tell us we can't have an abortion if we want to have an abortion. That's a huge like disparity, I feel like, between people who want to be Republican or want to be Democrat. I think that pushes a lot of people in the Democratic side because they're like, you're not going to tell me what to do with my own body. It's my choice. So I think that's one of the things. I don't think the gun or the cutting of taxes and entrepreneurship and less government involved in my life, the pro-life thing is actually more government involved in your life. So I think that might be one of the reasons why you see a lot of people going more towards Democrats. Also the guise of these programs and, you know, welfare and housing and things like that I think early on, black people may have felt like this is going to help us. And so they felt like, I'm going to vote Democrat because they're giving us programs, they're giving us things. And then in the long run, over time, of course, it hasn't proven to help us. So, yeah. How you feeling, girl? You want to say something? Go on and say it.
So the pro-life, okay,
yeah.
So pro-life, I have like a whole agenda with the pro-life. The reason why pro-life is a new thing now, which is probably like a whole other show topic, but just to like touch on that, I feel like it's agenda. You know, we overpopulate the whole population. So I think the pro-life is more to, you know, bring the population back up with, you know, other races versus our race. So I think it's a whole other agenda with the pro-life thing. I'm not really for that. I think everybody should have their own decision, whatever you want to do. Yeah. Secondly, though, as far as, I got a little brain freeze for a second. The pro-life was getting me and everything. So as far as, you know, the programs, our forefathers I would say the Black Panther Party, didn't believe in the programs. Right. They felt like the programs would break down the black community and destroy it, and that's what it did. It was don't work, you know, stay home, have babies, and we'll give you free housing, free food, whatever you want, and you have to do anything. So I think that Democratic Party's programs, they were never to help us. They were always to keep us in this, where we at. Yeah. We've been Democratic all this time, and we're still right here.
It was a means of control.
Well, this is the first time I'm going to be saying I absolutely agree with my brother. It was systematic because it wasn't just let's have these programs. It was let's get rid of vocational schools and training and trade schools, and let's put you in a position where all you can do is accept what we're giving you. So it was, and we're incarcerating you. It was so much at the same time, and redlining.
But also, if you did want to seek education, they did offer them certain programs. They were like as a home health aid or like, you know, like anything that was low end for the women and for the men. It wasn't never like you can go out there and pursue like an actual real career that, you know, could be lucrative or, you know, build yourself up. It had to always be like a low level. Like you can only be this and you can't be that and nothing else. Right. And if you try to be something else, then you'll lose everything. So then that causes fear of not having. So everyone is so afraid they're not going to like be able to pay their rent or not have that they just say, you know what, just forget it. I'm just going to stay like this because I'd rather just have my, you know, my Section 8 or my housing versus me, you know, risk not having nothing at all and work to get more. So it messed up the working, you know, the working African American.
It puts us in a slave mentality mindset.
Absolutely.
Like if damned if I do, damned if I don't. You know what I mean? So if I don't accept these programs, I'm going to struggle because the the institution is not set up for me to succeed.
Yeah, when you don't see a lot of examples, even, I'm just gonna stay in mine. I have generations of family members that have been on public housing.
Absolutely.
And when you don't have an example of, oh yeah, my grandma was a homeowner, and my auntie, and my uncle, and my dad, and everybody I know is homeowners, then you don't feel like you can be a homeowner, or you don't feel like you can achieve a certain level of success. It does take a very strong-willed person who just believes in themselves to kind of go against that fear.
Right, and and it's good that I'm glad that you did mention the Black Panther Party. That was going to lead into another question that I have for you guys. Do you think, in order for us to evoke change in our communities, we have to have our own political party?
I do.
I don't think it's a bad thing but here's the thing. Okay, the Black Panther Party was a political party, and it did so many great things for our community. They had the breakfast program. They had the bailout program. They had so many things for our community. Please do your research on the Black Panthers. But once they became powerful, what did the government do? Shut it down. COINTELPRO, they changed the gun laws because they could not take a black man with a gun at the state capitol.
Oh no, not at all.
They changed the gun laws, COINTELPRO, they set him up, they murdered him.
Yeah.
Fred Hampton in Chicago, 300 bullets inside his house. Come on, you know what I'm saying? So that could be a part of the fear of can we start a political party and then have to go up against the institution?
So, what my rebuttal is that I feel like after the Black Panther Party, that was it. Like, people just got so afraid through welfare. People got so afraid they got scared. Yeah. But if you look at our history, we were always being shut down, but we always still got back up and kept doing it. So it's like, no matter how many times they hold us down, did everything they did, we still was fighting, and welfare made us stop. Welfare and crack communities made us to stop fighting. You know what I mean? So I feel like that was the way to stop it. Like, let me just sit them down and just stop them at all.
They gave us hush money. Let me give you this welfare. Let me give you this section. Yeah, right. Let me give you this section A. Let me give this this program. Let me give you this program. Because if I give it to you, then you won't fight for more. You'll be satisfied. You'll be complacent. And that's one of the big problems in the black community, in my opinion. It's complacency. We're happy with what we got, and we struggle with trying to get more. But it goes to your point. When we try to get more, it's like, do I risk losing it all? Just trying to get more.
Really nothing.
I mean,
but again, that's what the Democratic Party always fights for, our programs. So that's why I'm saying, like, why do we feel like the Democrat is naturally for us? Is it really for us, or is it just keeping us in the box and holding us back? I mean, I don't really know too much about what Democrats do as far as fighting for us, but I've never seen them fight for black wealth. I've never seen them,
jump out this chair.
I've never seen them fight for black wealth,
Absolutely.
I've never seen, even them support anything of the violence in our community. Like, I've never seen them support black people to an extent where we're like Democrat all the time. Like, I'm not a Democrat, I'm a Republican. For financial reasons, because, Republicans, you get great tax breaks. It's like so many perks to being a Republican that you just really don't even know. So that's what I'm for, but I'm not really for any party, but when I choose where I, vote at, it's Republican, because it's about letting these programs go. I feel like, and don't get me wrong, I know some people need help. We do need help, but it's the difference between being helped and being crippled. And it has to be a change of, taking yourself off these crutches and learning how to walk on your own in a different mindset. And I think even with the programs, it becomes generational. The mom was on welfare, then the daughter's on welfare, then her daughter's on, like, it's just like a generational thing, teaching her how to get through the system and scan the system. You know what I mean? So it needs to be a point where it just needs to stop. And I think,
but it can't be a hard stop. It needs to be things put in place. Now, I absolutely agree with everything you just said, because I did some research, y'all. That's why I don't believe that I'm a Republican or a Democrat. I feel like maybe I'm a Republicrat. I don't know. But
Centrist is the word.
Is the what?
Centrist.
oh, okay, so
Centrist.
okay.
This sounds nice, like a fruit or something. I like it. I like
Like a
centrist.
nice scent.
Mm-hmm. Good part. But I definitely feel like healthcare is something that Democrats talk a lot about. If you're going to kind of transition everyone out of these programs, you need to have things in place to help them out. If you're going to take away public housing, you need to offer classes on how to get your credit together and how to be a homeowner. Like, if you're going to take something, you need to also replace it with education so that you're teaching them how to fish and they can fish for themselves once they're taught how to fish. I'm not saying cook the fish for them, scale it. I'm saying just teach them how to fish. And if we have more of those kind of programs, then they wouldn't need to have these crutches.
So I gotta disagree. So this is my question.
Yeah.
So we talked before in our last show about the black man being absent and then Master being the government being the one that the feminine relies on. So now we're asking Master to put us in school, teach us how to be, thriving. Yes. At what point do we teach ourselves in our own communities how to be better at your credit, how to survive? So now again, we're still relying on Master.
Well, because voting is only one of the tools in the toolbox, right? So if we're voting Republican or we're voting Democrat, at the same time, just like systematically they broke us down, systematically we have to be built up. So if it's not Massa, then it needs to be someone who's reaching back. After I started flipping houses, I taught my brother how to flip houses.
Right.
Or, stuff like that. I opened up my salon. I had my girlfriend working in her salon until she got her own salon.
Gotcha.
Like, we need to be systematically building each other up, and it can't just be take everything away, start voting Republican. Like, that can't be the answer either.
No. But we also have to remember, too, that we got to, as a community, we have to stop voting Democrat, Republican. We need to start voting issues and beliefs.
Yes,
right?
That part.
We have to vote issues and beliefs. So I think that and that's another thing we have to do as a community is research. Mm-hmm. That's why we have shows like this. Catch it. We have shows like this. You have to do your research. Each one has to teach one. Each one has to get that, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, I don't care. But as long as you're doing what's right for you and your family, that's what's important. And if you do the right research, you might learn something new. Like Nick said, once he learned the research, he was no longer a Democrat, he became a centrist. Because you have to actually learn and you have to actually study. And I think that's one thing that we have to do better as a community is talk to one another, talk about these issues. Because again, we voted for Obama because he was black, not because his issues align with our values.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
No, I agree. I definitely agree that, whether you're Democrat or Republican or whatever your party is, you need to know what your party is about. Right. I just think that we just straight go to the voting booth and just vote straight Democratic and not even probably when the people's names on the whole. Only probably know one name, which probably is the person running for president or whatever you're voting for, and that's about it. Yeah. And then don't know anyone else or what their values is, and I mean, that's the problem. And I feel like they know that we know that we don't know this much. I know that we only know that Democrat is us, and they play off of that as well too. So you had to be very educated on, your politics and what you're doing because that's important. It affects you. It affects us.
And I also feel like we have to put the message out there that you don't have to choose some. Just because you say, I want to vote for this Republican or I want to vote for this Democrat, doesn't mean you believe everything that the party stands for, because it starts to get into these you watch CNN and it's like, well, Republican said this, or well, Democrat. And it's like, are we talking about a candidate? Are we talking about an issue? Or are we just talking about someone attacking your party and you feel like you have to defend it? And it's almost like team iPhone, team Android. Like, girl, maybe the camera is better. Maybe that's just the only thing that's better. And I'm okay with that. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. It's like an all or nothing mentality when it comes to politics for some people. And that's another reason why some people are like, the hell with the whole thing.
So why was everybody so mad about Kanye voting for, being a Trump supporter?
Because then, even if he believes in some of what Trump is saying, when he put that hat on, then he just believes everything that Trump is doing, grabbing them by the is fine. It's almost a representation of everything. Yeah, of everything that he's done. And that's why people had a problem with it. But it's just you may agree with some of the things that Trump stands for. Or you may not, or you may disagree with most of it, but you agree with some of it. And it's almost like all or nothing. When Kanye put the hat on, it was like, oh, you one of those.
But I need to know what the definition of one of those is, because there are a lot of black Republicans who did vote for Trump. As a matter of fact, I spent my voting day 3 years ago at your house, and I said I did not vote. And I feel ashamed. I should have. Excuse my language. I'm a curse. But yeah, I know. But I should have voted. But I think that I would have I don't even think I would have voted Trump over Hillary.
I didn't vote for Hillary or Trump. I voted Jill Stein just because I didn't like neither one of them. So I just said, let's give it to her.
But I would have voted Trump over Hillary. To me, it was the lesser of two evils. And you really have to think about Trump's overall portfolio too. Since he's been the president, you have all the scandals and all that kind of stuff. But it is a fact that black unemployment rate is up 7% since he's been in office. And I don't want to hear that. Oh, that's a trickle down from Obama, because that's not the truth. Because now Trump's been in office almost 4 years, and black unemployment is still rising. So, you have to kind of look at the whole body of work. Do I agree with him? A lot of stuff. Do I think he might be bigoted? Do I think he might be misogynistic? Yeah.
They probably really all are.
Not only that, it depends on which your issues are that you find important. If for me, the fact that he, decided to defund a lot of programs for HIV medications and AIDS, I feel like that is an attack on the LGBTQ community and just anyone at large who may be affected by the disease, but specifically the LGBTQ community. And if that's important to you, then of course you're going to feel completely different and say, so what, unemployment is down in the Black community? Right. What about funding? You know, what about protections for trans individuals in the workplace and companies where now they're not as protected anymore under this administration? So it really depends on what you find important.
I agree, because I 100% agree with that, because there are certain things that I agree with the protection, because he actually just did another attack on the LGBTQ community as well, where he defunded, don't give me the line, I don't want to mention, it was something that he defunded.
Well, Ryan White was one of the organizations that he
It was something and this was just either yesterday or today. It popped up on my timeline. But something. But to me, unemployment is important. To me, education is important. Right. And I know that he's done a lot of work for the HBCUs as well as funding for HBCUs, or so it's just what's important to you.
He definitely released some men from prison. A lot of men.
He's released more than Obama.
Way more than Obama. He's been releasing men. But then here goes me playing devil advocate.
I like the devil's advocate.
I feel like the release from prison. See, prison is like and we'll get into our whole prison reform, but prison is a business.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like, people who've been in prison for a very long time, their conversaries isn't the same. Like their whole financial, gain while they're in there isn't the same, for the people who own the actual jail business. Right. So we had to get them out to get new people in. So it's like, okay, you let them out, but are you making room for people to come in?
That's exactly what it is.
I know that's exactly what I'm saying. So even though he did, and there were men who've been in jail for 20, 30 years who needed to come home, granted. But I always feel like everything is always done for a reason. It's not just like, okay, let them all out. It's always, it's not. Yeah. But no, he did let people come home. So for that part, I am grateful, because a lot of men were taken from them.
Well, I don't know if I'm grateful, because if you let my father out of jail but you put my son in jail, that's not doing me no good. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not grateful.
So
let's change the word grateful. I'm just happy that a lot of Black men
are coming home.
Are coming home. At age 60, 70 from being in there since the 1980s. Finally, thank you for letting them come home.
And under Obama, not that employment was as high as it is now for the Black community, but I was able to get married. And that was specifically because of Obama.
Well, my mom got married in Hawaii. It was legal in Hawaii already.
Well, in Hawaii, it wasn't legal everywhere.
It was legal different states, but Obama made it a federal law.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. We got married in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and federal law trumps. Federal law trumps state law. So the federal government could have came and revoked all those marriages in California and Hawaii and Boston. Boston was one of the leading states in that too. But Obama made it. Across the board.
Yes.
Federal law.
So I'm appreciative of that.
Yeah, I mean, he did great things. He was by far was not a bad president. I just think for our community, because that's what we talk about, is our community. Well, our community, right, melanin moments, because sometimes they come at us like, well, this stereotype, anyway. Right. No, that's not a thing. But for our community, I think I don't know if he did as much as he could have. But I think overall he was a great president, a great leader, and I thought it was good.
Shout out to Obama.
Shout out to Obama. Yeah, I mean, that's the real thing. She didn't shout out.
Oh, I do. I like Obama and I love Michelle. I love Michelle.
You give me very Michelle-esque.
That's what I'm doing. This is how Black politics like.
I like it.
The Michelle and me.
Yeah. But overall, guys, what do you think is what do you think is or can be the solution to getting more involved or getting our people more involved in knowledge of government? Because at the end of the day, government ain't going nowhere. Right. So we got to do something. You know what I mean? What do you guys think of some ideas of that is?
I think that far too often we're taught history in school, and there's this notion that history is going to repeat itself, and if you don't know it, then you're destined to follow it again. And there's not enough of credit. Like, why are they not teaching credit and good finance? Balancing your checkbook, things that you should know, things that are going to help you out in the future, mortgage. They're not teaching that. And I feel like if you're not getting taught that in your curriculum, in your community, advocate for it, but certainly do it within your four walls. Yeah.
I agree.
Education is the key.
I agree, but what the thing is, okay, so credit and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's something that our leaders should be teaching us, because again, if you go to a different race school, they're not teaching them credit or how to balance their checkbook. They're learning from their families, and they're people in their community should know those traits. So a lot of those things also come from the family as well.
Right.
That we teach our children how to be more responsible about credit. We have a notion where a lot of us, like not a lot of us, but our community put like things on our kids' names. That by the time they're 18, their credit is all bad because So we need to start with teaching ourselves and our families those kind of things about credit and mortgage and home ownership and things like that, because we can do that.
Absolutely.
When it comes to school, there's not really too many schools that are going to teach you credit unless you're like in college and that's your major with that as far as finance. But when it comes to middle and elementary school, you have your core classes, math, science, whatever the case may be. But again, it comes with the family as well.
They're doing home ec. Like I remember sewing in school.
But they don't do home. I don't think they do home ec no more. The curriculum is like completely different now. It's like even the math. How you do everything is like a whole new way of everything now.
I'm just saying, how much of what you learned in school do you actually use in your day-to-day? Because I've learned a lot of things that I'd never use in my real life.
Maybe not. In college, I do apply.
Yeah,
So in college,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe like in college, if you're like in economics or something like that. But as far like elementary school and stuff like that.
I think by high school you should know, because when you graduate high school, you're in the world.
And when you graduate, when you
adult.
turn 18, they send you credit card offers.
There you go.
Yeah,
Right,
and
right on
that's what
as a
destroyed my
freshman,
credit,
as a
because
freshman.
it's just like a lot of things are generational. In black families, it's generational too. We just don't know.
Right.
Shout out to my mom, best mom ever, but her credit, she didn't teach me nothing about credit.
Right.
And then in her credit, she never put nothing in my name.
Right.
But so when I turned 18, I got me a Macy's card and I got a Visa. And I got all the things. By the time I was 24, I was at a 400-something credit score.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So had I learned that, so I agree with you 100%. Had I learned that from my family or even in school, I think those type of things should be taught in schools. Now I'm doing well, but I would not have endured 15, 12 years of my life with shitty credit, can't buy, get an apartment, can't get a house, you know what I mean? So I agree with you. Education is paramount. We got to teach it, and I do think we should be advocating for that kind of stuff in school for sure. There are some schools now, like some of the charter schools that do have those type of curriculums in there. I think Diddy Schools, he's offering a lot of black wealth type programs in his school. So it's coming.
There's
We
an
need to keep
African-American
pushing.
man who's being a leader in his community and pushing forward to that. So we can't look for, someone else,
He is someone else.
No, you know what I mean by someone else.
Oh, you talking about master?
Yeah, we can't look for master to teach us about credit. And then also, like, I grew up different. Like, my grandmom had, like, a perfect credit score. Her daughter, I come from a very, like, responsible side of the family with my grandma. But I still turned 18 and got credit cards and did a bunch of stupid stuff. She definitely got me out of debt when I was young. Like, no, you don't do that. Credit is very important. So I was taught credit was important, but I still made my own mistakes. You know what I mean? It all depends. It's all in the family too. Like, a lot of things come from education, our community, having a leader to take leadership and help us be better with our families and teaching our families what they need to know about certain things, home ownership, all that stuff.
I think another issue that kind of like plays into that is the idea of just being concerned with your four walls and it no longer being up to anyone that it's a community thing. I know when you and I were talking about, oh, you're looking to buy a house, well, keep me posted, girl. You want to renovate a home and flip this and just let me know. And I'm like, yeah, you my brother. If you get it first, girl, you call me and we'll help each other. I think that it needs to be a sense of community.
Well, it is actually now. There are a lot of people that I know, in business now, a lot of women and men who have credit companies, who are black, who do like little programs with the youth that teach them. Yeah, it's a girl, her name is the Credit Gal, and she does like a little program with the youth as well, teaching them about credit and everything else. So it's been very, very more forward now in our community about credit, because we realize that credit is very, very important, and home ownership is very important. So the community has been, being more active with it, but it could definitely be more active. And again, I just think that we need a leader. I think we need like a leader to kind of like, social captivity. If someone does it and everyone, I agree too. You know what? I agree too. Then everybody starts agreeing. It becomes more than just one person. It becomes everybody.
So what I'm hearing from both of you guys, going back to government, is that Nick, you're saying that we need education.
Yes.
You're saying we need leadership.
Yes.
And I think we're all kind of in that space of community. But I think for me, I think to really get our government prowess together, we need organization. And I do think that comes from community. I think that comes from leadership. But we need organization, and we need to get organized, because if we don't do it, they're not going to do it for us.
Right.
And so we have to be able to do it. We have to start doing it. We have to start putting out putting out good juju in the government world. Like we need a leader. We need somebody who can come in and say this. I'm for these people. I'm for the community. We have some people out there who are outspoken, but are they taking leadership positions? Are they taking leadership roles? I'd love to see Killer Mike run for office.
I love Killer Mike.
I would love to see him run for office. You know what I'm saying? So people like that, but where are they?
Right.
You know. So
and it's also getting the millenniums involved. Like the millenniums. Monsters, like it's not the same as the older ones. So it's kind of like getting them more involved in what's going on because they are so less. They don't really care about government or who.
I mean, some of them.
Some of them do. We're not gonna say all of them, but for the most part, it really starts with getting the youth into what's going on because they're gonna be the leaders of our future. So they had to infiltrate the youth and start getting them into what's going on in education.
With Obama, with the whole Obama thing, Diddy came out. That is what pushed Rock the Vote. Mm-hmm. So we need to get more campaigns like that. But it's like but that was because we had a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because social activism, getting the internet involved, Facebook, all of that involved.
Yeah, meeting people where they are.
Yeah,
that's important for sure.
Especially if you want to get the young people.
Yeah, tweet them. Well, but I mean, at the bottom line, I think we all understand, or I hope that we understand, and I hope that we can project that into our community that government is important, whether we like it or not. Right. Whether you want to be involved, if you want to see change, you want to see social change and community change, you have to be involved in government, or you have to know, or at least understand what voting means and voting your rights and your candidates, your party affiliation, if you have one. But again, vote on issues and values, not on candidates, and not on Democratic or Republican parties.
Or don't wait until, like, to your point, you're only really concerned about the presidents. Mm-hmm. So that's when you come out, that's when you find out what the platforms are and what issues are. Yeah. I was doing some research just state to state or region to region, and to find out some of the things that I found out, like, for instance, in Florida, theft over $300 is a felony. Excuse me? And when you're a felon, you cannot vote. Right. So 1 in 5 black men in Florida can't vote. Like that's but that's why it's going. So if they change some of those local laws, like $300, you a felon? Yeah. Girl. And that was on purpose. On purpose. It's crazy how, and if you can advocate to change the community laws like that's in your area, you could eventually change what the outcomes
and
of
know what the laws are.
Areas.
A lot of people don't even know what their laws actually are. They don't even know the amendments at that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So education is again very, very key.
I mean, we could go into this because we start going into this Constitution, this 3/5 of a man. There's so much we can go into, but I think we're gonna call this one a wrap because we can go. We was going. Let us know what you think. What are your views? I mean, I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. What are your views on politics? How can we get more involved? How can our community get more involved? Do you know your local leadership? Mm-hmm. Do you know your state representative? Do your research. Vote. Get out there and vote because that's the only way, well, not the only way, but that's a major way that we as a community can change our communities and impact positive structural change. So definitely let us know what you feel about that. We may touch government, we got some other government stuff coming up. That's why we didn't want to go too deep, but definitely let us know what you think and yeah.
Shout out to all the centrists out there.
Centrist.
Okay.
Hashtag centrist. But yeah, definitely let us know what it is. So we got something new on the horizon.
Yes. Okay, so we're starting a new segment called Melanin Moments. Okay, where we basically just inform, educate. We just talked about education, how key that is. So we're going to bring you something that you may not know, but you might oughta, woulda, shoulda, coulda know. Okay, that part. So this week's Melanin Moment, Georgetown University slave trade. Oh yes, I'm gonna repeat that. Georgetown University slave trade. So in a 1938 slave sale, Georgetown University sold 272 slaves for $115,000 to help pay debts and keep the university from closing. To present day, that's the equivalent of about $3.3 million. 1938? 1938. No, 18. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to say.
1938.
1838.
I was like.
Oh, they just did it, girl.
I was like, we can show you that recent.
1838, Georgetown University. But I'm keeping my eye on y'all. Yeah. But also Brown, Harvard, Columbia, and University of Virginia have similar stories. So because of this, coming out, social activism, people talking about it, tweeting about it, Facebooking about it, and everything else, they were urged by student activists, and they unveiled a plan to raise $400,000 a year to aid descendants of those 272 slaves. Now, the shade about this is that it's going to be solicited through private donations. Like, they're not giving up any of their coin, any of their endowment money. Like, they're going to get private donations. And so a lot of the students are a little wary that it's going to happen at all. But the money is going to be used to support community-based projects, including health clinics and early childhood education programs.
For the Black community?
For the descendants of those slaves.
What's the ratio of Black students that even go to those schools?
I mean...
So to me, that all sounds like reparations, right?
Yes.
Without you saying the word.
Right.
And I'm just gonna flat out say it's not gonna happen. They're not gonna do it. They're not gonna do it. It sounds good. It sounds like a great PR push, but they're not gonna do it because people don't understand what reparations are in the first place. And I don't even want to get into that because that could be a whole show in and of itself. But they're not going to do it because their team reflects its leadership, right? So what about all the other slaves that were going on? But it is a very interesting topic because I never knew that there was a slave trade in colleges. You know, colleges.
Right.
When you think of slaves, I'm thinking mom and daddy massa and they 18 to 25 slaves on the plantation.
Debt we had to pay, so we sold some slaves.
Well, I guess it makes sense because slaves built the White House, so the government had slaves. Hello, somebody. You know, that is an interesting fact.
I'm not really into those colleges. I mean, I'm more of an HBCU person anyway, so I feel like.
Well, I also did some research to make sure they wasn't selling no slaves. Just shout out to the HBCUs, child. They ain't selling no slaves. I ain't want to gag. They ain't selling no slaves.
Yeah. But yeah, shout out to the HBCUs. I don't necessarily share your sentiment, but I think that'll be a whole nother show. But yeah, I mean, that's a very interesting fact. But please give us the links. We'll put it in the comment box. The links.
I want to share.
In the comment box, yeah, because I actually want to read more on that. Because I'm sure there's a lot to that story.
Yes, I will definitely put the links down at the bottom, honey.
Yeah. That's
check this out, because I was gagging.
So yeah, that's interesting. Because so the slave trade is a little bit more vast than we probably all know, or that they will let us know.
Right. So if you have any melanin moments that you'd like for us to share, please send them. Please comment, and we'll because you might all want to know, and we might too.
We don't
We
know.
probably want all to know.
That part.
Absolutely.
1938. That was a gag.
I mean,
Gag. I'm sorry, y'all.
listen, you was serious about
Right,
that.
I was like,
Yeah.
1938.
I was like, dang, they had slaves in 1938.
Just happened. 2019.
We was just being sold for the college.
Right.
Woo.
So that was our melanin moment. I'm excited about that new. It's not going to replace. It might. We may do both. We're going to do another news. We're going to do melanin majority, melanin moment. So let us know what you think about the melanin moment. And then So
Are you a student there? How do you feel?
Oh yeah.
Do you know about this?
Georgetown, Harvard. Who we got in the building? Let us know. What are they saying on your campus?
Absolutely.
It's important. So, Natalie, it is time for the
Drum roll, please.
Black light.
Black light. So you know we love black light. We highlight
love
these
black
black businesses, these black owners, just everything black. We just love black light. So on this black light, we are going to be talking about Marquette. I love Marquette. So Marquette is the creative dramatic designer known as the Prom Slayer, Philly King, Prom King. Okay. He's one of the top designers in Philadelphia. He creates beautiful prom and wedding gowns, everything under the sun that you can dream of. They're so dramatic. They're just beautiful. I love them. Yes. So he can be found on Instagram at Marquette. That is MARQUETTE 21. And you can book him via email at Marquette, which is MARQ by Marquette, MARQUETTE at Gmail. And he's done like a lot of celebrities, Jasmine Sullivan, like his gowns are so beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like when you go to his Instagram page, you're like, oh my God, like they're. He's had a fashion show recently too. I went to, and he had some really nice. It was this pink suit. Yeah, I need to get that. It was whoo.
So we will definitely give you those links or the link to Marquette.
Yes.
Go by Marquette's page, add him, leave a comment, say here's the thing sent ya.
Yes.
Okay? Because we like to support and we like to know that we're being supported amongst the black community. So
Yes.
Marquette.
Also, if you know a black business or a black business of your own, please let us know. We would love to highlight you, support you. You know, it's all about keeping it in the community, supporting each other, and helping each other grow. You know, spending the black dollar in the black community. So please let us know, and we definitely will give you a shout out.
That part.
I love this show. I just love this show. I do. They funny.
A little bit.
But listen, that was it for episode 4. We are so excited to keep bringing you all this great content. Again, like, comment, subscribe, share. Tell your mama, auntie, and uncle and them. And we love you. And yeah. Comment. Like I always say, we like to talk with you, not to you. So we will see you on episode 5. Peace.